talking about congratulations, let's talk about Taylor Swift. Big up blood clot Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift dropped her new album, The Life of a Showgirl, the other day. Loads of controversy, loads of talking points regarding it. But I'd like to come from the point of view of being somebody that's not the biggest Taylor Swift fan. And I've also been on record to say that I think she sucks as an artist. There was a time, I think during COVID, when I went back and listened to every single album that she's put out. I think it was during COVID because she was going through that thing with Scooter Braun and her masters and shit. So I was just intrigued, didn't it? So I went through her discography, listened to every single album from Taylor Swift. And at the end of it, I came to the conclusion that this girl is shit and basic and average. And I just can't understand why she's as famous as she is. I didn't get it. Especially because at the time she was doing that tour. She did that tour that she was on where she's dancing horribly and she kind of awkwardly jumps into that fake pool. I hated all of it. So when I listened to the music, I thought it was fucking terrible. I have to categorically say, after listening to this album yesterday and a few days before that, this is maybe her best album that I've ever listened to. And I really enjoyed it. Coming from somebody that's not a fan of her, I really enjoyed this album, which is why I'm surprised and confused at all of the conversation online around it. Because people are like talking about, oh, all she talks about is boys and like old boyfriends and breakups. But that's what she's, of course, that's what she's about. It's like complaining that Pusha T and Clips only talk about cocaine and shit, right? Or Pusha T and fucking Malice, whatever the Clips, right? I don't think that's a bad thing necessarily. But I think in terms of, forget the content or the context, in terms of a bop, in terms of hearing tunes that kind of give you a bit of a inclination to dance or bob your feet, tap your feet, bob your head, tap your feet. I think this Life of a Showgirl has way more of that than any of the previous albums I listened to. Like, I could actually dance to this album. This album sounds like a bop. And before, I didn't really think she had any bops whatsoever. I really fucking enjoyed it, which is why I'm surprised that people are going ragging on it. I even really enjoyed the Charlie XCX diss. And people know how much I love Charlie XCX. Actually Romantic, which, you know, people are kind of slating her because she maybe didn't interpret what Charlie XCX was trying to say in her single. What's her single called that she dissed her on? It's not actually. Is it Romantic? Something Romantic? It's not Romantic. What was it? I don't think it was Romantic. I think it was. Everything is Romantic. Maybe Sympathy is a Knife. That's the one. She dissed her on Sympathy is a Knife. Kind of Charlie XCX, right? But in that record Charlie XCX did, Sympathy is a Knife, it was less about dissing Taylor and more so about her saying that she felt insecure when Taylor was around. Taylor Swift, being the quote-unquote perfect Barbie, made her feel insecure because she's a certain way and Charlie's a certain way. Cool. I don't think there's anything bad about it. But Taylor Swift did say in her album, on a particular track, Actually Romantic, that there are things going on behind the scenes where she's heard that Charlie XCX has referred to her as a boring Barbie. Is always talking about her behind the scenes. And I think, unfortunately, when it comes to beefs with fans, because a lot of Charlie XCX fans or even Taylor Swift fans are kind of chastising Taylor for how she responded to Charlie. But I think the problem here is that we don't have enough information. We don't know. We're not privy to what goes on behind the scenes. We're not privy to what's said or gossiped around their social circles or close friends, whatever. We don't know. And I'm pretty certain, because of how women are with each other, when it comes to jealousy, envy, competition, and the way the music industry is set up, it wouldn't surprise me if Charlie XCX, who I probably prefer, obviously out of the two, is probably saying some stuff about her behind the scene, Taylor. It wouldn't surprise me if she has some stuff to say. Even re-listening to the track, she mentions a bit where before Taylor Swift used to go out with Matt Healy, by the way, which is a weird pairing anyway. I don't even know how they got together, but she used to go out with Matt Healy from the 1975, right, the lead singer. And Taylor Swift says in the track Everything Is Romantic that Sympathy is a Knife, sorry. She's basically like, oh my god, I was hoping for so long that you and fucking Matt would split up, because I'm guessing at that time Charlie was also dating George Daniel, the guy that she's now married to, the drummer of the 1975. So she was like, yeah, every time I was watching them, I'd go and, watch them perform. I didn't want to meet you because it made me feel uncomfortable. And I thought that was a pretty crazy thing to admit. Like, rah, you were wishing, you were hoping and rooting for my relationship to end to soothe your jealousy or whatever it may be. That's kind of fucked up. So I think Taylor had every right to say what she said. And I gotta be honest, bro. I think Taylor cooked Charlie on that track. I'm not gonna lie. I'm looking forward to Charlie's response, but I thought Taylor cooked Charlie on that track. The verse 1. I heard you call me boring Barbie when the coke's got you brave. High-fived my ex, then you said you're glad he ghosted me. Wrote me a song saying it makes you sick to see my face. Some people might be offended. Right? So I think she ripped into her. But actually, I think it's sweet. The other verse, hadn't thought of you, by the way. Hadn't thought of you in a long time, but you keep sending me funny valentines. I know you think it comes off vicious, but it's precious, adorable. Like a toy chihuahua barking at me from my tiny purse. By the way, that kind of plays on the insecurity as well, right? The height differential and the size, because Taylor's like a big girl. She was on a show here in the UK recently. Jim Norton, is it George, whatever his name is, right? That fucking guy. And she was sitting on a chair and she looked huge. That's how much it hurts. How many times has your boyfriend said, why are we always talking about her? Wow. I thought she ripped into her, to be honest. I thought she did a really good job. So I'm really looking forward actually to hear what Charlie had to say, but I thought she did a good job. But overall, I actually really enjoyed the album. There's a track on here that's one of my favorites, I'm going to say. And I'm going to be honest and say my two favorites on here are probably Cancelled and Honey. Cancelled and Honey are probably two of my favorites. I really enjoyed that. I also don't have a problem too much about what she said in was it Opaliate, however you pronounce that word, track number 3, where people are suggesting that she might have insulted black women because she referred to herself as not being a bad bitch or something. I don't have a problem with that. I think people are going a bit too hard on Taylor, because I think part of her charm, part of why people like her, and saw someone chastising her the other day, is that she represents most women. I think most women who people refer to as boring and basic, because the internet thinks we're cooler, right? Everyone on the internet thinks they're cooler than everybody. Everybody on the internet thinks they're the coolest person in the world, but the majority of the world isn't that cool. The majority of people are just like, whatever. So I think she speaks to that person who also needs somebody for them to kind of, identify and relate to. I'm a little bit, perturbed about the constant attention she puts on men, personally. I think she's a little bit too male-centric for me, right? In terms of her gaze, whatever. But regardless, that's what she does. Let her do what she does. I don't really have a problem with what she said about bad bitches and whatever it may be in a connotation that may have, because, they refer to themselves as bad bitches. What's the fucking problem there? But the only issue I have with it is people's shock and being appalled by it, because I think most women, however counterproductive it is, think like this. I don't know. I would say, generally, I would assume there's not a lot of men that really care about who their girlfriends, wives, fiancés dated before them. They don't really care too tough. It doesn't really inform how they treat their girlfriends, how they interact with them, what they think of them. But I think women have a lot of hang-ups about who you dated prior. I know there are some women who, especially black women, who kind of get a little bit put off if they find out their guy who's black dated white women. It kind of puts them off a bit, or if they dated a conventional hop, I don't know. Women have a weird thing when it comes to, I don't know why. It's not my business. I'm not a woman, so I'm not going to get into women's business that way. But women do have a weird thing about how they place themselves on the totem pole, who they compare themselves against. So when she's talking about Travis Kelce's ex-girlfriends all being black and stuff, and kind of referring to them in a subtle way in that bad bitch thing, I don't think that's a bad thing. Because there might have been a lot of self-doubt in her at the time that they were kind of dating and seeing each other in the beginning stages. She might have had a lot of self-doubt because she just probably Googled and said Taylor fucking Kelce's former girlfriends. And she probably saw him and was like, rah, I look nothing like these people. I don't sound like these people. I'm not from where they're from, but you're kind of interested in me. Why? So I can understand that kind of level of self-doubt. I think people who are getting at her for that, you're being unfair. Especially if you're a woman, you're being unfair. Because you know damn well, if you're in the same position that Taylor Swift was, you'd be saying the exact same thing. So I think people that are getting on her for that are being a little bit unfair. But let me show you what she said about them in terms of the bad bitches thing. Where is it? Somewhere here, isn't it? It's somewhere here. I'm not a bad bitch or something, right? Is it bad? Where is it? Bad. Yeah, that's one. Okay, it's eldest daughter. My bad. It's not Off Fleet. Okay, it's eldest daughter. That was one everyone's talking about. So it's eldest daughter. Track number 5. So it says everybody's so punk on the internet. Everybody's so unbothered till they're not. Every joke's just trolling and memes. Sad as it seems, apathy is hot. Everybody's cutthroat in the comments. Every single hot take is cold as ice. When you found me, I said I was busy. That was a lie. That's a cool little bar. I don't mind that. It also kind of reminds you of fucking Red Scare. I don't know why. When I heard that, I thought of Red Scare. I've been afflicted by a terminal uniqueness. I've been dying just from trying to seem cool. But I'm not a bad bitch, and this isn't savage. But I'm never gonna let you down. I'm never gonna leave you out. So many traitors, smooth operators, but I'm never gonna break that vow. I'm never gonna leave you now. I think that's really sweet. That's her acknowledging that, hey, I'm not like these girls. I'm not a bad bitch, but I'm not a savage. But I'm never gonna let you down. I'm never gonna leave you out. There's so many traitors, smooth operators, but I'm never gonna break that vow. That's fucking crazy. I love that. That's actually really, such a good way to kind of tell your man that, hey, I know I don't maybe compare to these women physically, right? When it comes to what they look like, maybe I don't bounce or whatever, twerk the same way they do. But one thing you can definitely depend on me is my love, my dedication, my commitment to you. I'm all for it, bro. I'm all for it. But that's my review of Taylor Swift's fucking album. I really enjoyed it. I'm not going to lie. Coming from somebody that doesn't really fuck with her albums or music at all, I really enjoyed it. And I also enjoyed even more her reaction to all of the negativity, all of the bad reviews this album's getting when she went on Zane Lowe.
How do you choose to process, the math is one thing and that just goes on around us in life now, but then the real human interaction is what I know that you really still tap into. And when you have an album that's this big with so many people pouring their energy and being so invested in it, how do you absorb all of that in the days that follow? Because we're talking for real a few days after the album came out.
Yeah, I mean, I welcome the chaos. The rule of show business is if it's the first week of my album release, and you are saying either my name or my album title, you're helping. And art, I have a lot of respect for people's subjective opinions on art. I'm not the art police. It's like everybody is allowed to feel exactly how they want. And what our goal is as entertainers is to be a mirror. Oftentimes an album is a really, really wild way to look at yourself, right? What you're going through in your life is going to affect whether you relate to the music that I'm putting out at any given moment. And what I often love seeing my fans say is, I used to be someone who didn't relate to Reputation. And now that I've been through some other things in my life, that's my favorite album. Or I used to be a fearless girly. Now I'm obsessed with Evermore. And we're doing this thing for keeps. I have such an eye on legacy when I'm making my music. I know what I made. I know I adore it. And I know that on the theme of what the Showgirl is, all of this is part of it.
Honestly, that was such a cool reaction. She basically said, yeah, I'm not in the policing of criticism or art. Whatever you feel about the album, is valid. I put it that what I said is what I said. Whatever you think is what you think. We'll carry on. And I think she said some line about, but in music entertainment world, as long as you're talking about my stuff, that's a good thing. Whether you're talking about we're talking about it good or bad, the fact that you're talking about it during the week that it's a fucking good thing. And I really agree with that. So big up Taylor Swift for being an artist on her level and not being butthurt or being thin-skinned about criticism. Says a lot about her in general. So I'm a fan of it. I recommend you go and listen to it. It's called The Life of the Showgirl. The only thing I'd say is a slight criticism. It did feel a little bit long. Even though it's 40 minutes, around track 7, I got a bit bored. Not gonna lie, a little bit bored. But then maybe because I'm not really a big fan. And I also felt like the volume. I know I shout a lot, but I also felt like the volume wasn't that high. It's similar to that Doja Cat's album. Why do some albums, why they mix that way? It's kind of low. I kind of felt like I didn't have it up on full volume. Even though I was wearing noise cancelling earphones, it kind of didn't feel like it was really that loud. So that was the only thing that I really didn't enjoy about that album too tough. But apart from that, not too bad. Big up Blood Clot Taylor. Big up Blood Clot Taylor.